Good morning, Coach Jude and classmates. My name is General M. Acuña, the leading little teacher of the 1G BTB Study Hub 4. And this is my co-little teachers, Miss Ira Salmin, Miss Patrina Yasin, Mr. Abdul Rakib Tangkian, and Mr. Jabidan Luciano. And today's discussion is about the four general or world philosophies, which are Idealism, Realism, Pragmatism, and Existentialism. Good morning, Coach Jude and classmates. And again, I am John Rafael M. Acuña. As we know, there are four broad school of thoughts that reflect the major educational philosophies as we know them today. These school of thoughts are Idealism, Realism, Pragmatism, and Existentialism. Note that Idealism and Realism, or otherwise as the general or world philosophies, are derived from the ancient Greek philosophers Plato and Aristotle, whereas Pragmatism and Existentialism are more modern or contemporary school of thoughts.
Good day, Coach. I am Fatima Patrina Yasin. My topic is all about idealism. Idealism is a school of philosophy that emphasizes that ideas or concepts are the essence of all that is worth knowing. Idealism is a philosophical approach that has as its central belief that ideas are the only true reality, that only thing worth knowing. Based on Plato's writings, this school of philosophy encourages conscious reasoning in the mind. Idealists look for and value universal or absolute truths and ideas. Idealists believe that ideas should remain constant throughout the centuries. So, idealism recognizes that feelings and ideals more important than material objects. At the same time, emphasizes that the human development should be according to moral, ethical, and spiritual values, so that he acquires the knowledge. Plato, Greek philosopher and father of idealism, student of Socrates and the teacher of Aristotle. According to Plato, reality consists of two realms. Plato described a utopian society in which education to body and soul, all beauty and perfections of which they are capable, as an ideal. In addition, to understand truth, Plato believed you must first understand knowledge. Also, Plato believed education helped move individuals collectively towards achieving the good. Socrates, Greek philosopher and founder of Western philosophy, teacher of Plato and Xenophon. Socrates' work is only known through the works of Plato, known for his questioning techniques that's known as the Socratic method. When applied in classrooms, the Socratic method actively engages students in the learning process, improves understanding, and promotes higher order thinking. Socrates was a Greek philosopher from Athens who is credited as a founder of Western philosophy. An enigmatic figure, Socrates authored no text and is known mainly through the posthumous accounts of classical writers, particularly his students Plato and Xenophon. Immanuel Kant, German philosopher and one of the foremost thinkers of the Enlightenment. Kant believed in freedom, the immortality of the soul, and the existence of God. Kant added valuable information about the importance of role and its contributions to knowledge. Based on Kant's research, it is the only true reason that we gain knowledge and understand the world in which we live. Kant's theory is an example of a deontological moral theory. According to these theories, the rightness or wrongness of actions does not depend on their consequences, but on whether they fulfill our duty. Kant believed that there was a supreme principle of morality, and he referred to it as the categorical imperfection imperative. Educational implications of idealism. Within an idealist educational philosophy, the curricular focus is on ideas rather than the student of specific content areas. Learning is also intrinsically motivated. Teaching method used within idealism include lecture, discussion, and Socratic dialogue. Essential to these teaching methods is posing questions that generate thoughts and spark connections. Idealism lays more emphasis on thinking and mental activities. This increases the importance of intellectualism unnecessarily. It emphasizes upon the achievement of immortal values, namely truth, beauty, and goodness. Idealistic education gives more importance to teacher in relation to the child. It draws attentions to truths that do not change. Through religious study, idealism can bring a meaning to existence on earth that remains permanent.
Good morning, Coach Jude. Realism. Realism, what you see is what you believe. That is the implication of realism for me. It looks into the actual view of situation and how they are. Next is Aristotle. Aristotle believed that to understand an object, its ultimate form had to be understood, which does not change. This aim is to understand, obey reality through diligent and unsparing scrutiny or inquiry of all observable data. So, as we observe, John Locke and Aristotle focus on all observable aspects. Next is John Locke. John Locke believes in tabula rasa, which implicates that a born child mind is a blank slate, and this will be filed not only by thinking alone but with our experiences by the use of our senses. Example, we may be able to imagine or say a new place, but that new imagined place could only be made up of parts we previously encountered through our sensory experience, like we'll be able to see and visit the place, able to hold objects in a certain place. So the knowledge we have is merely objectives on what can be observed. Next is, in terms of education, the approach is already applied in our system. Like standardized tests, we encounter it already. Example, it when we take entrance examination or admission tests, or even the national achievement test when we're in elementary and high school level as well, with serialized textbook and specialized curriculum where we are following a syllabus regarding our subjects. And in teaching methods, teachers are already applying it for a student to really understand a certain topic by demonstrating recitation applied for them to know if we are listening or interacting as well with observation and experimentation. And as a future educator, we will encounter this and will able to apply this in the field that we choose. That's all. Thank you.
Good day everyone, especially to Coach Jude. I am Abdulrakib Estangkian from BTVTED Electrical Technology. My topic for today is about pragmatism. Pragmatism is a process of philosophy that stresses evolving and changing rather than being. Pragmatism believes that reality is constantly changing, so we learn best truth. For pragmatism, teaching methods focus on hands-on problem solving, experimenting, and project, often having students work in groups. Pragmatism believes that learners should apply their knowledge to real situations through experimental inquiry. Charles Sanders is an American philosopher. He's a kind of American philosopher. One of the first pragmatic thinker. Pragmatism was derived from Charles Sanders. John Dewey is an American philosopher and educator who was a founder of the philosophical movement known as Pragmatism. He applied pragmatist philosophy in his progressive approaches. He linked pragmatism to evolution by explaining that human beings are creatures who have to adapt to one another, to their environment, based on making group decisions in light of consequences. He believed that learning society is constructed. Educational implication of pragmatism. A pragmatism educational philosophy calls for teachers who can support student learning by promoting questioning and problem solving during the natural course of lesson delivery. Curriculum is also interdisciplinary. Teaching method used the realism include. This is hands-on problem solving, experimenting project, and cooperative learning.
So, hi guys, I will discuss to you about existentialism, a philosophical theory or approach which emphasizes the existence of the individual person as a free and responsible agent determining their own development through acts. An example of existentialism play would be the movie I Heart Huckbeast. In this movie, a character uses a blanket to symbolize the universe, and that each part of the blanket is a person or thing. So, Soren Kierkegaard is a Danish minister, a philosopher. He said that one should take a leap of faith in their belief in God even though there is no proof. He also emphasized the individual's existence, the associated concept of authenticity, commitment, responsibility, anxiety, and death. He wrote critical texts on organized religion, Christendom, morality, ethics, physiology, and philosophy. Philosophy of religion, displaying a fondness for metaphor, irony, and parables. So, Jean-Paul Sartre, a French philosopher, he suggests that for youth, the existential moments arise when young person realize for the first time that choice is theirs, that they are responsible for themselves. Their questions become, who am I and should I do? One of the key figures in the philosophy in existentialism, a French playwright, novelist, screenwriter, political activist, biographer, and literary critic, Friedrich Nietzsche. His work provided a strategy to liberate people from the oppression or telling interior with themselves, and a teaching on how not to judge what one is in relation to what one should be. He was a German philosopher, culture critic, and philologist whose work has exerted a profound influence in modern intellectual history. He began his career as an classical philologist before turning to philosophy.
Educational implications of existentialism. In an existentialist classroom, the subject matter should be a matter of personal choice as each student is viewed as an individual by the teacher. Furthermore, answers come from within the individual in an existential classroom, not from the teacher, via examining student lives through authentic thinking. Students are actively involved in the learning experience. Existentialists are opposed to thinking about students as objects to be measured, tracked, or standardized. Such educators want the educational experience to focus on creating opportunities for self-direction and self-actualization. Therefore, they start with the student rather than the curriculum.
And again, I am General M. Aquinas. We already know what are the four broad schools of thought that reflect the major educational philosophies. But in addition, I will add the fifth metaphysical school of thought, which is the Scholasticism. What is Scholasticism? Scholasticism is from the Latin word scholasticus, which means belong to the school. It's a learning method that teach in medieval times. This school of thought was applied in Roman schools in the educational philosophies called Thomism. Thomism is a philosophical and theological school that arose a legacy of the work and thought of Saint Thomas Aquinas. It is the combine of idealist and realist philosophies in a framework that harmonize ideas of Aristotle, the realist and idealist notion of truth. Saint Thomas Aquinas, an Italian philosopher and Dominican friar, known for his work Summa Theologica. His Summa Theologica was formalizing church doctrine. He argues, questions, and combination theories of Aristotle that might be best known works. Thomism is the philosophical and theological school that arose as a legacy of the work of thought of Thomas Aquinas. Aristotle tried to prove the existence of God via logic, and this method is known as revised logic method and beliefs. Scholasticism is a tool or method for learning inspired by Aristotle, which emphasizes dialectical reasoning.
For me, we do not know anything for certain and never will. Therefore, why we not live life the way you want and do what makes you happy? This belief helps me to forget about the significant problems that should not consume my thoughts and focus on what I really value.
My answer is Existentialism is the philosophy of worldview that best fits my own view of reality because it claims the essence of reality is subjective and the rest is individual.
Pragmatism is the best world or Pragmatism is the best general world philosophy that fits my own perspective of reality because it claims that the essence of reality is through experience. It is said that image is worth 1,000 words. So this is my image metaphor for each world or metaphysical philosophies. Idealism, realism, pragmatism, existentialism, and scholasticism. Reflection. During the discussion, we were able to learn what are these four broad school of thoughts, or otherwise as the four general world philosophies. These school of thoughts are idealism, realism, pragmatism, and existentialism. And in the addition of the fifth metaphysical school of thought, which is scholasticism. Each of these philosophies standardizes the quality of education. In modern school, philosophy is an approach that focuses on what should teach, the curriculum aspect. Education system use this philosophy's method as a base of teaching students and shape them to their full potential. In addition, it is important to know the root of this school of thoughts and why the current system still use this as a basis of teaching, because a person who doesn't know how to look back to the origin will not reach the destination. Thank you for watching.